Hi, for this video, we'll be talking about the process of charging. In an atom, there are protons and electrons, and the number of protons and electrons in an atom is considered to be equal, or they are equal from each other. And if they are equal, the atom is considered neutrally charged. However, an atom may gain or lose an electron since an electron can move from one atom to another. If an atom gains an electron, then it becomes negatively charged. If it loses an atom, if it loses an electron, then it becomes positively charged. Now, there are three processes by which a neutral body can be charged. And what are these three processes? We have friction, or by rubbing. You can charge an object through conduction and also by induction. So how do these three processes of charging happen? Number one, we have charging by friction. So charging by friction results when two different materials are rubbed against each other. The material will either become positively charged or negatively charged depending on its electron affinity. Now, what is electron affinity again? Electron affinity is the measure of the attraction of an atom to an electron. Or we can also say that electron affinity is the tendency of an atom to become negatively charged. Materials with high electron affinity, or materials comprised with atoms with high electron affinity, are capable of gaining electrons from those with lower electron affinity. And how do we know that? There's a table known as the triboelectric series where it's a list. As you can see in the slide, we have there the materials on the top of our list tends to be positively charged or more likely to become positively charged. And that going down, these are objects or materials that are more likely to become negatively charged. So in general, charging by friction happens when two different materials are rubbed together. The other one that is higher on the list will become positively charged. So for example, if we have a human hair is combed using a rubber comb, what charge is acquired by the hair and by the comb? In the triboelectric series, the electron affinity of human hair is lower than the rubber. Therefore, since human hair is lower, we have since human hair human hair has lower electron affinity, it has lesser tendency to attract electrons, then therefore hair becomes positively charged. And since the comb has high electron affinity, it becomes positively charged. It's a rubber comb, so it's with higher electron affinity, therefore it becomes negatively charged. Next, we have charging by conduction. So what happens when we charge objects through conduction? Charging by conduction requires physical contact since conduction is a process of charging in which we require direct physical contact between your charging body and the neutral body. The sign of the charge by the neutral body is the same with that of a charged body. So if we charge through conduction, if we charge a neutral body with a positively charged object, then the neutral body becomes positively charged as well. If we charge a neutral object with a negatively charged object through conduction, then it becomes negatively charged as well. So charging charging a neutral body with a positively charged body. So a neutral body A becomes positively charged by a positively charged body B. So we have here body A, which is neutral, and body B, which is positively charged. Some electrons, after contact or during contact, some electrons from A will go to B since the electrons are the ones that can transfer from one atom to another. So again, some electrons from material A will go to B because they will become attracted to the protons in B. Remember that opposite charges attract. And then when we separate the two bodies, A loses electron and becomes positively charged. B remains positively charged. So when we look at this second illustration here, how do we say that it's positively charged? There are more protons compared to the electrons. Therefore, it's positively charged. The net charge is positive. As well as for object B, the net charge is also positive. Charging a neutral body with a negatively charged body. So the neutral body A becomes negatively charged body when charged by a negatively charged body. Similar to what happened in our previous charging process in conduction, when a negatively charged object is put into contact with a neutral object, the electrons from B will go to A because electrons are attracted to the protons in object A. So A gains electrons and becomes negatively charged, and B still remains negatively charged. So now you have two objects that are negatively charged. Next, last in our charging processes, we have charging by induction. So how do we charge an object through induction? Unlike conduction, we do not have, or objects here do not need to be in direct physical contact. A neutral body may also be charged without physical contact with charged body. In induction, the body to be charged is just brought very near to the charging body. So we have here neutral body and a negatively charged body. Neutral body A is brought very near negatively charged body B, but it does not touch each other. So neutral body A is brought to B very close. Now what happens is that since body B is negatively charged, the electrons in body A will get repelled. Since like signs repel from each other, the electrons in body A will go to the side further from object B. Then the neutral body is grounded, either by touching it or using a wire. So that is the symbol for grounding. As object A is grounded, it will provide a path for the electrons that has been repelled by object B to escape. Then the electrons from the neutral body will travel to the ground. So that's the purpose of grounding. It was able to make a path for the electrons to travel out of the object since it's being repelled by the negatively charged body B. Then the ground is removed. As the object is removed from the ground, the connection breaks between body A and the ground. It's called grounding because it's literally put into the ground. I mean the charge or the electrons are literally directed towards the ground. Then B is removed or moved further away from body A, and body A becomes positively charged since it lost some electrons. Some of the electrons were displaced from object A. Since it lost electrons, then it becomes positively charged. Now, still charging by induction, however, we have a positively charged body that is brought near our neutral body. Now, since body B is positively charged, the electrons will get attracted to body B. And then what happens is that still we connect the object A, where we connect body A to the ground, and since the neutral body or the side that has the ground is positive, it's the positive side, then therefore electrons will get attracted from the ground. So the electrons is acquired by object A. And then your body B, which is positively charged, is taken further away from object A. And since object A was able to gain electrons from the ground, since it has more electrons now, then your object A or body A becomes negatively charged. So those are your three processes of charging. Charging through friction or rubbing, charging through conduction, and charging through induction. Thank you very much for listening.